Thanks for the invitation again. So let's talk about automation. Obviously, we know, as users of DeFi, right now, the whole ecosystem is pretty manual, right? And the core of that is the non-custodial nature of DeFi. You have to use MetaMask for all that stuff. And while it's amazing and it's opening up a new world of self custody, like a huge self custody market, and enabling all these financial services to now perform. And we see lending, we see derivatives, we see trading massively, huge volumes, et cetera, et cetera. What we also see happening in DeFi is that, just think about it for a second, that there's $14 billion right now in DeFi, right? And all of that is managed manually, literally manually. And this kind of reminds me of Venice from 18th century, where people were writing on those notes, making those first IOUs and all that stuff. And I think in some form we're obviously like really early in DeFi, and there is lots and lots of things to be done on the automation side. Another thing is that manuality that we see right now is causing, I would say, difficulties for a lot of people in terms of adoption, right? Either they don't have the knowledge to use MetaMask and just overall use these new financial services through MetaMask, or they're just too scared to put on the responsibility of security onto themselves, right? If they were previously kind of happy with Binance or other exchanges holding custody for them, it's pretty difficult to make that decision, to put on that risk of losing your funds onto yourself. And again, we have those hacks. They don't only happen, in crypto on the side of the companies themselves, but they also happen on the side of the users, where the users themselves are not so knowledgeable about security, and they have like keyloggers in their systems, and they lose money from MetaMask as well. So that happens. So I believe, and we at CyberFi believe, that the future of DeFi is definitely automation. And that is why we believe it's so important that the next step to DeFi 2.0 or something like that would be through automation, which would allow users, would allow new companies to create products that would allow users to have automated flows, or let's say just flows that would be much more easier to handle than what we have right now through MetaMask. And CyberFi is all about that. So it's a multi-product ecosystem of different automation products that we're kind of putting together into one platform that would enable all these automation possibilities for the new DeFi world. And we more or less divide them to trading, automation, and multi-chain operations, where the trading is what you all probably know about is Uniswap, all that stuff. There's a lot of volumes in those new projects that are only listed on Uniswap, where they have large liquidity pools and they're confident with just trading there. And right now it's all manual, right? You don't have limit orders, you don't have possibilities to automate, your activities with the liquidity pools, and it's that makes it really difficult to manage your portfolio, basically, right? We're kind of calling, like in DeFi, we're calling for all the users to stay up all night, 24/7 to look at their portfolios, which is really, definitely not the future, right? We would want to have people actively manage their portfolios and understand what they're doing. Additionally, this manuality creates information asymmetry, right? So that because nobody has the ability, right, to stay 24/7 up and look at the markets on Uniswap and then manually perform all those actions. So that makes the market inefficient, and larger pumps and dumps, I think, are involved here in DeFi because of that. So on the side of CyberFi, we're going to add an automation layer on top of Uniswap for automation in terms of setting limit orders, setting automation in terms of adding funds to liquidity pools, withdrawing funds from liquidity pools, and so on and so forth. So you could actively manage your DeFi portfolio. On the side of automation, I put it down as a separate thing, but what we mean here really is smart orders or the ability to automate a number of transactions that would not be related exactly to trading, but would also involve other platforms as well. And one of the largest kind of examples of that is farming, right? A lot of the stuff happening in DeFi is around farming, and that in itself is a great kind of new way to create capital. On the other side, it's also very risky when you're getting into liquidity pool tokens that are that you have to buy the native token, put it into NLP, and then farm the native token of the project. That puts a lot of risk on you, not only in permanent loss, but also the risk of kind of losing what you farmed, basically. And what we have, and what I'm going to show a little bit later, just in a few minutes here, is an automation platform for you to set a limit order when you want to automatically go through the whole process of exiting a farm and then removing the liquidity from the LP token and then selling the native token of the project to Ethereum, for example. And then on the side of the multi-chain stuff is basically, with DeFi, we have DOT right now, we have Cosmos, we have Binance Smart Chain, other blockchains that are trying to get there. And if it's difficult for a lot of people to use Ethereum, it's even more difficult for them to use other blockchains. That's what I would say. I think it's pretty difficult to argue with that. So what we really want to accomplish here is create those very simple to use automation kind of gateways or paths for Ethereum users to now transition to other blockchains and use them as well. And we're working on a couple of partnerships on helping with those scenarios as well. Another thing that we don't have here, but we recently announced a partnership with Unilend, and we're going to be automating lending as well with them. So we have this CyberFi token, the CFI, which is going to allow users to pay for gas, get access to very unique automation scenarios that we're going to have for VIP users, lower commissions, obviously, a lot of stuff. We're planning for the multi-chain operations as well on CyberFi, and a lot of 80% of the fees collected on the CyberFi platform are going to be distributed to the CFI holders. We have a pretty, I would say, extensive roadmap with a lot of things happening. Right now we're here. We already launched the CFI token, and are very soon going to come out with the beta. So as I said, I'm going to show you how it looks, how it works. So as an example, we're going to take Pickle Finance. They were in the news. They were recently hacked, which was interesting, because that's exactly what we're saving our users from, is that when something happens, it doesn't really have to be like a rug pull. Even some like with Pickle, right? One of their vaults got hacked, and that money has been withdrawn. But it didn't really, they didn't steal any Pickle. They didn't steal any. They didn't rug pull the liquidity pool. But what happened because of that is that the price of Pickle started to dump, right? And those people that were farming Pickle here, with a good APY, they lost a lot of money, right? Because not only did did the asset that they were farming kind of go to a very low price, but also they hit a lot of impermanent loss with the price of the LP falling as well. So let's say we have some LP tokens for Pickle staked here, right? And when I'm like at this stage, I'm farming Pickle, right? And what I need to do, and what I would do in this case, is I would check what's going on with the pickle price kind of all the time, right? I would check, what's going on. Is there any problems? Should I reconsider, et cetera, right? Because it's a pretty risky investment, so it kind of pushes you towards always managing your portfolio. And on Uniswap, it's pretty difficult to do, right? You have to check it all the time, et cetera, et cetera. And this is the dump that I was just talking about that happened recently. And what you are able to do with CyberFi is that you would set a limit order so that somewhere around here, right, if the price went to this price, you would automatically unstake, and this would all be done automatically. You don't even have to touch anything here. It would harvest, it would unstake your pickle, and it would go and sell them for Ethereum, basically leaving you in a secure position. So this is how it would work, is that this is what we're working on right now. This is the alpha. We're going to redesign this UX UI, but basically we put it into like a very simple form here, where you choose the target token, which is pickle ETH in this case, right? We're farming this LP. At the point of the limit order, we want it unstaked from this farm. I choose gas, I send the transaction, I want to sell one of your assets, and then I want to receive Ethereum, right? So I'm selling pickle towards receiving Ethereum here. And then I would sign the transaction to also sell pickle here for Ethereum, and that is the limit order I'm putting in. This is the price of the LP, which we're going to change this to the price of just pickle, so it's easier to be to manage. And say I put in this is the current price of the LP, which is basically pickle divided by the price of Ethereum, and I'm putting a limit price a little bit under that, so it's around like 4% under. And then I just click create order. I have my order created here, which will remove liquidity at a certain point, when the price of this LP falls underneath. We also have liquidity orders, which are going to be available in the beta. But yeah, I hope that kind of shows what we're doing here. And we're, as I said, we're pretty close to the beta. I think we're like a few days off of starting the beta event. And yeah, we feel that these automation platforms, and we believe CyberFi is going to be one of the big ones, are going to change the way people interact in DeFi, because it's all about adoption, right? It's all about the mass market, and people are going to come to that, and seeing ways that they can set limit orders, that they can manage their portfolio in an automated way, without having that risk, without having that that need to always be on Uniswap. I think that's going to drive a lot of users to CyberFi, and I think it will help the DeFi ecosystem as a whole in terms of again, ease of use and eliminating those risks that are inevitable at this point in time. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I always love when projects can come on and show tangible products, because there's so much vaporware in the space. So to see actual real live betas, I'm sure someone could probably tell you regulatory people like to see that real use case. But we have about 10 minutes left until our next project comes on. So why don't we go to the YouTube chat, David, and field some questions for Geralt, and then we can move on to the next presentation. And hopefully, Geralt, you can stick with us till the end, and we can have a panel perhaps.
Sure.
For the other two projects that are coming on board, and Simone.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. So yeah, going straight into questions. First one up is, how do you plan to protect users with impermanent loss?
So again, like basically why impermanent loss exists is that you have people entering into LP tokens, and then the risk there is that when the price of one of the tokens in the LP token goes down, right, or goes up again, you're facing impermanent loss, and it's impermanent until you withdraw your funds, basically. So literally any movement from the entry movement causes impermanent loss in the LP token, right? It's all about the incentive that users have to actually get into the LP, right? With a lot of the big, with a lot of the large pairs like Ethereum USDT, WBTC, Ethereum, and so on and so forth, the motivation is pretty obvious, right? You're just getting those fees, and they were on Uniswap, they were farming Uni as well at some point, right? And the way people should protect themselves from the impermanent loss is that they should have a risk strategy, right, in their DeFi portfolio, right? So I, like, as a user, let's say, just as an example, I'm okay with my with hitting 5-10% impermanent loss while I'm receiving farming tokens from a project, for example, right? But in terms of like how risk adverse I am, if I'm hitting under 10% impermanent loss, I want to exit my position, right? I want to basically create like a stop limit where I would exit. And I think it's on the side of the actual AMMs to fight impermanent loss and figure out ways where they can add additional value or to the LPs. On the side of us, we are bringing an automation layer on top of what's available. And the way I see it is that people should understand and should create their own risk strategies, and we would just allow them to execute them in an easy fashion where it's all automated. They don't have to check it all the time. And I think just the knowledge of that and people understanding that more and more, I think would really mature the market, because right now people are just as they say, aping into these LPs, right? And they're like, oh my god, what happened, when they exit the LP and they see that even with the farm tokens, they're down 20% in the overall asset price. So yeah, it's right here with CyberFi, it's about risk management, it's about automation, and about putting in place those automation tools that would allow you to actually perform a good DeFi strategy and focus on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's exciting. I know we spoke kind of previously about this, and that was one area that on a personal level I was pretty excited about. I mean, this is true evolution, and kind of having these types of tools that actually go hand in hand in helping people to be more efficient with risk strategies, I think is something that I think the community will be really very positive about. So thanks for that. Let's just move on to further questions. So is margin trading available on the platform currently, or will it be?
So yeah, currently no, right? With the extension of trading will be us going into derivatives as well, but that's something we're planning for, I think, end of like Q1 2021. And yeah, that's definitely something also very, very needed, and I think very, very good derivatives platforms like DYDX are also moving into that direction, just allowing the user to set more to set those limit orders and stuff like that. And I think this is just the beginning for CyberFi, right? We're just kind of touching the ground here with the initial, those one-shot things you can do to put yourself in a safe position. What I'm really aiming at, and what I want to see CyberFi in the future, is that you would have an actual strategy consisting of multiple steps, basically, that would allow you to manage your DeFi strategy. So if we talk about derivatives, right, we would say, if you're holding let's say a long on Ethereum, you would set a spread, right, or like a trailing stop loss for that long. When you get out of it, you would also be able to set another automation scenario on top of that, where like a Merkle tree, basically, of automation scenarios. So when you get out of that, you would do something next, straight away. So yeah, that's something we're definitely thinking about, and like derivatives hold huge volumes, so there's definitely a big need in automation there as well. Yeah.
No, great. I think that's a really positive plan forward. Let's just move forward with further questions. So I mean, you've talked about
Mm-hmm.
automation there. Someone mentioned, how can automation help users in getting more rewards from the platform?
That's a good question. If we're talking about the platform, CyberFi, then we're just going to incentivize users to actually get the knowledge they need, and we're going to provide it about automation and incentivize them to set these automation strategies. On the side of all the platforms in DeFi, I think Wire has really shown how automation can actually bring in more rewards, and those are the yield farming strategies that we hear a lot about. They're exactly about automating processes that are available in DeFi to create kind of let's say like a sandwich of different events that you're doing, where you're doing them every X amount of hours that allow you to maximize your rewards, right? So for example, right, if Maker incentivizes you to borrow basically and gives you Maker tokens for that, you can take out put in a collateral, borrow, and then use that as a collateral again and again and again. Basically, that's just as an easy yield farming strategy. That's something that Wiren is doing, and they're doing it very well. What we're going to be doing with that is that we're going to be putting automation on top of Earn, so that you would be able in the future to then automate your participation in those vaults where they provide different yield farming strategies as well. Yeah.
No, that's exciting. I mean, you mentioned there kind of Yearn. So would you say you're kind of a governance or a utility token, or I guess you could say both, right?
I would say definitely both. We're very focused on governance, which I think is going to kick off closer to end of December with CyberFi. And the reason for governance here is that there's an obvious need in people to prioritize or users of CyberFi to prioritize different automation things, or different platforms to automate for CyberFi and include that into the platform for our user base. So it's a win-win scenario in terms of governance for us, is that the big holders of CFI, they're obviously big on DeFi, and they want that automation to then be included into some other new project, and they would vote for us to prioritize that development so that we would include it straight away. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Well, I mean, there's a few other questions, but I think they have been answered already. And the ones that haven't, I think the answers are right there in front of you guys. If you look at the pitch deck right now that's live on the screen, it talks about automation and rewards specifically for those through farming, staking, liquidity pools. And also there was a few questions around token swapping and different things like that. And I think that answers in terms of the multi-chain part there. So clearly, this is a cross-chain structured project with some amazing, I think, ideas around really giving people some support around protection of being a liquidity provider. Obviously, looking in towards more of the trading aspects too, which the industry as a whole has definitely lacked. And I'm excited about this project. I think it potentially provides a lot of functionality that I think the space is really crying out for. So thank you very much for coming on today. We do apologize that we've kind of kept things quite tight, but if you're able to hang around, there might be a bit more time towards the